I had done a video earlier on how to install OpenWrt on a supported router. In this video, we'll be focusing on combining multiple broadbands or WAN connections to give load balancing and an overall better bandwidth across your network. So this would mean if one link fails, it'll automatically transfer the entire load to the active link. And it also has load balancing, which means the packets would be sent through both the links, giving you in effect a better throughput or bandwidth, which is the combined speed of the two connections that you have, two or more connections that you have. This is what a normal router would look like, and you would have a WAN connection or your internet connection that comes in, and most routers have at least 4 or more LAN ports into which you can connect your various LAN devices. Since most routers come with a single internet port, our aim is to use one more LAN port to make it act like a WAN port or an internet port. So in this example, we'd be using the built-in WAN port as WAN 1, and I'm going to choose the port LAN port number 4 as the second WAN port or the WAN 2. The first thing we would need is to install a load balancing software, and we have to go into the software section and click update lists. So this might take a while depending on your connection. This is going to refresh the packages that are available, and once the list is updated, click dismiss, and in the filter type MWAN. You have to install two packages, the MWAN3 and the Luciap MWAN3. So press install. You have to install the packages one by one. So once MWAN3 is installed, proceed to install the next one. So now you have both the MWAN packages installed. We'll now proceed to reboot the system. Once we reboot, we'll have a load balancing menu in the status and also in the network section. So now we'll reboot the router. Perform reboot. Once you've rebooted, log back into the router. And once you're inside, you'll notice that under status we have the load balancing option that's come up, and also under the network. The next thing we have to do is to assign the LAN port 4 to WAN. So which we'll go into the switch section and make sure that you have enabled VLAN functionality ticked, and we'll add one more section. You can name it 3 and make it tagged, and you'll notice the LAN 4 is untagged on the first line. So what we're going to do is we're going to assign that to the VLAN the third one we've assigned right now. So we'll switch this off here and make it untagged here. So what we've done is we've now converted the LAN port into the WAN by separating it from the rest of the switch. Press save and apply. And now we'll go to the interfaces section, where you'll find the WAN that is already there and the LAN port to which you're connected. You might be connected by LAN cable right now. So we're going to add one more WAN interface. Press add new interface and name it WAN 2, and under interface select VLAN ETH 0.3. That's the new one that we've added, and press create interface. We'll set it as the DHCP client and press save. We'll come back to this later. And if you go into the WAN 1 section, press edit, and when you go to advanced settings, you'll see use gateway metric 10. So you cannot have the same metric on the WAN 2, so we'll put a metric of 20. Under firewall settings, you'll have WAN 1. We'll have to do the same thing for WAN 2 also. Press dismiss. Go into edit, advanced, use gateway metric, give a value of 20 here, and under firewall settings, change the unspecified into WAN 1. What will happen is once you press save, you will have both the WANs listed here. Now if you go back in and check, both the WANs are under the same firewall zone. Now you can press save and apply. Since the WAN 1 is already connected to your internet service provider, it's already got a DHCP IP. At this point, you can plug in your second WAN connection to the switch. So we'll go to switch. This is just to see the port getting activated. So right now the second WAN is not, WAN 2 is not plugged into the LAN port. So I'll just plug it in and you can see it getting activated. So now the WAN 2 is also connected to our fourth LAN port, which is now been converted into a WAN port. Now if you go back to the interfaces, you can see the WAN 2 is got the second broadband or your internet provider's DHCP address. So physically how I've done this is, on WAN 1 I have the first provider's router output coming into this port, and the second provider's router is coming into the WAN 2 port. One thing you should be careful about is, you can see here the IP is 0 dot, here it's 2 dot, and here it's 1 dot. this is quite important, that you should not have the same IP range on these networks. So if your internal IP is 1.1 or 1 and the 192.168.1 series, the other two should be a different series. Otherwise there would be a clash and this will not work. So now we have configured the two WAN ports on the router. So next part is to get the load balancing system up. So right now there is no policy defining the way it should work. So the load balancing is not active yet. You can see that the transfer values are shown here, the packet sent and the usage. And once both are active, you will see that there is a similar pattern in the usage. Next we'll go into the load balancing section, and under interfaces you will have a lot of interfaces listed here. Just delete all of them, and we'll first create two WAN interfaces, one for WAN 1 and one for WAN 2. Type in WAN 1 and press add. Press enabled. The tracking host or IP address is what will be used to check if the link is up or down. So ideally, if you give a few DNS entries here, this IP would be pinged periodically, and if the IP is not reached or reachable, then the system knows that the link is down and it will automatically load balance the whole traffic to the link that is up, or if both are up, it will distribute accordingly. So you can give I've given the Google DNS numbers on my router, so you can put 8.8.8.8, 8.8.4.4, and I've also given the Cloudflare DNS IP, which is 1.1.1.1, and that's all you have to do here. Press save and apply. Back to overview. Add WAN 2. And do the same thing. Press enable. 8.8.8.8. Add 8.8.4.4. Add 1.1.1.1. Add. Save and apply. Back to overview. So now that is set, we have the interfaces WAN 1, WAN 2, and the tracking method is ping, as I mentioned, and ping interval is 5 seconds, and the metric, if you remember, we gave metric 10 to WAN 1 and metric 20 to WAN 2, which is now been replicated here. Now we move on to the members. We'll be adding two members, one for WAN 1 and another for WAN 2. So you can give a name that you can, I prefer giving WAN underscore M underscore 1 for WAN member 1. You can use another name if you want. And on interface, choose WAN 1. And here give the metric 1 and weight 1, and I'll be giving the same thing for both the interfaces because I want equal weightage to both the interfaces. Save and apply. Back to overview. Van underscore m underscore 2 add, and we'll assign van 2 and give a metric of 1 1. Press save and apply. Back to overview. So now we've given equal weightage to both the connections so that the traffic is distributed evenly across both vans. So in future, if you find this, you want to do a different kind of load balancing, you can change the metric and weightage accordingly. Now we come to the policies. And for policies, again, you can give whatever name you want. So since I'm going to load balance, I'm giving a name load balance Leo. This could be any name you want. Member, you have to choose both, so member 1 and also member 2. And under last resort, use default main routing table. Press save and apply. Now to the final part, the rules. And you might already have this, so all you have to do is press edit, and the policy assigned is unreachable here. You just change that to the policy that you've set right now. So go all the way down, under policy assigned, select load balance Leo. Back to overview. Do the same thing for V4 and V6. To start with, I would advise you to stick to the same names that I gave, and then you can change it later, because in case something goes wrong, you can always check whether you've made a mistake in the names or whatever. And then once you have the whole thing up and running, I would suggest you change the names to your liking if you want. Back to overview. So now we've completed our setting. Now go back to system and reboot your system. And once rebooted, we should have a working load balanced multi-WAN supported router. Once you're logged in, go to status, load balancing. And now you'll see under interfaces you have WAN 1 online and the uptime, and the WAN 2 online and the uptime. So in case one fails, you will have it turning red, and if you look at the uptime, in case one fails and it comes back on later, you'll find there's a difference in the uptime. Now go to the interfaces. And in the interfaces you can see the RX and TX, the transmitted and the downloaded bandwidth. And once you play, you can actually go to your YouTube and then play some content. You can see the usage refresh. It takes a few seconds to refresh the usage, and right now I'm playing a 4K YouTube video on my other screen, and you can see that both the links are being used. So if you want to check if the load balancing is working properly, you can either plug out the cable physically, or you really don't have to plug it out physically. You can just press stop. So we'll just try stopping one after the other. If you press stop on WAN 1, it's shutting down the interface, and you can see that the packets are still being routed through WAN 2. If you go to the status on load balancing, under the MWAN interfaces, you can see that WAN 1 is offline. We'll just switch to the other interface now. Restart WAN 1. We'll wait for the network to acquire the IP address. We'll stop WAN 2. Now if you notice, there's just a little bit of traffic coming up right now because it's just come up. We'll stop the WAN 2. The interface is stopping. Now the interface has been shut down. Now you'll see that the traffic is going through WAN 1. And if you go to the load balancing, you'll see that the WAN 2 is offline. We'll go back and switch both the links up. So now we have both the links up. We go to the load balancing status, and we have both the interfaces up and running. So that's how you convert a regular router into a load balancing multi-WAN setup. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you find it useful and if you think others might benefit from it, please do share the video. Thank you.